This week on Click, we go in search of a bit of peace and quiet as we look at the gadgets that can turn it all down a bit. Tech heads in the clouds. We take an augmented peek at London from its tallest building. We'll also ask if Intel's vision of the future is one the rest of us are going to buy into. All that plus the latest tech news and a web for all fans of American TV in Webscape. Welcome to Click. I'm Spencer Kelly. The world can be a noisy place. And if you want to know how noisy, try coming out and filming a programme with us. You think you found a peaceful part of London, which is rare in itself, and then just as you're starting to film, you've got a lorry going past, someone hammering something, and I have no idea what they're doing in that apartment up there, but it's making a heck of a racket. And the fact of the matter is, the more machinery and devices we turn on, the noisier the place gets. So how to turn down the volume without compromising our tech? Well, Laura Lewington's been in search of the quiet life.
Neither your average location nor your average gathering. The silent disco is the ultimate in personalised entertainment, not to mention a party the neighbours won't be complaining about. The music you listen to is pumped out through these radio frequency headphones, allowing you to select one of two DJs by channel option.
This may not be anything new, but it is one way of choosing the sound that you want to listen to, something that could be useful in life outside of a disco.
With more background sound to our lives than ever before, noise pollution is taking its toll.
There's recent evidence from studies of aircraft and road traffic noise that it can contribute to high blood pressure, even contribute a small amount to an increased risk of heart attacks. In children also noise has been implicated, aircraft noise has been implicated in children's learning, particularly in hindering their reading.
And indeed, World Health Organization research suggests that 3% of deaths caused by coronary heart disease are due to chronic noise exposure. But it's not just jumbo jets. Inside our homes, we have to put up with blaring blenders, whirring washing machines, and kettles so noisy that they can make us feel steaming mad. And that's what's prompted this concept house at London's Ideal Home Show. Aimed at creating an altogether quieter living experience, many of the appliances carry the Quiet Mark stamp. This status is awarded to manufacturers for the quietest product of its type, to help consumers know they are opting for a less noisy device.
It's not about being able to hear a pin drop, but just making things as quiet as we can. For instance, a food mixer is never going to be completely silent. But we could create a calmer environment by making less noise.
Though some of the tech in here can function without a whimper, a bladeless fan, a fanless computer, there's also a hairdryer over which you can almost hold a conversation. Each appliance averages a reduction in level of between 5 and 25 decibels, which, as sound experts will tell you, means less than half the noise.
Decibels are logarithmic, so every third decibel, it almost like a Richter scale, it doubles. So it doesn't sound much, 68 to 74 decibels, but there's a huge difference in terms of how actually you receive the sound and how it impacts you. You've got a whole orchestra of machines that surround you every day, and there's such a layering of sound. If we start to choose to soundscape and tune and tone down those sounds, it stops the stress levels that can affect our bodies, our health, our productivity and relationships, and makes a huge impact. And when you hear a quiet machine, suddenly you go, oh, and yet it's high performance, so it's still doing the job.
Take a washing machine, for example. One of the causes of noise is the movement of the actual washing load. But this machine's technology uses sensors to keep the drum better balanced, so there will be less vibration and thus less noise. Or this kettle simply has a double layer of insulation, which should save energy as well as keep the volume down. And if you live next door to someone who likes playing the drums at all hours, well, you may hope they know about the latest silent instruments. Although it's been over 30 years since the first hybrid silent piano was marketed, the tech inside them is keeping up with the times.
Now, as well as being able to use this as an acoustic piano, it also has a silent function, which means at the touch of a button, it can transfer into its digital mode. Now, the way that this works is, instead of the hammers hitting the keys, a sensor picks up the notes and translates them into digital sound. And then you can listen to them through your headphones, so at least no one else needs to hear.
Phew. So piano practice aside, if our household devices can be made this quiet, why aren't they already?
It all comes down to cost and how much a company wants to invest in making it quieter and how important it is to be quieter. A games console is probably the loudest thing that most people in the living room would have. It's got a lot of power in it. It needs to run hard and fast to make the games better. It's not as noisy as a DVD player, which probably the only noise is when you press the button to open the tray to put your DVD in.
Whether it's the sound of your tech or your colleagues you'd like to block out, a pair of noise-cancelling headphones can actively eradicate any distracting nonsense by listening out for and counteracting offending frequencies. Or you could just opt for a snug-fitting pair of earbuds to physically block out noise. There's even a smartphone app to the same effect. Sound Curtain masks the surrounding acoustics by playing a chosen sound through your headphones, automatically adjusting the volume relative to the level of noise in the room by using the phone's microphone. You do need decent earbuds for the best experience though. And whilst our tech is a major source of the noise around us, at least it can give you the chance to lose yourself in your own world.
Lara Lewington, keeping the peace. Whatever they're doing up there, they're still doing it. Now, one way to escape the streets is to get up above them. And that's what we're going to do next after this week's Tech News.
As the conflict in Syria escalates, the government has denied claims it blocked access to the internet for 19 hours. Traffic ground to a halt on Monday night in a blackout the government says was due to a fault in optical fibre carrying data. Critics reject that, saying it was an attempt to derail the online activities of the opposition and mask atrocities being carried out in the country. Monitoring companies reported a similar scenario in November as rebels used services like Skype and YouTube to reveal what was going on. Microsoft has announced that a key update to Windows 8 will be made available to developers next month. Windows 8.1, codenamed Blue, is a key update to the operating system, expanding its hardware support to include smaller form factor devices and improving a user experience that many have derided as unintuitive. Interestingly, it will only be made available through the Windows Store and not through the traditional Windows Update route. Finally, YouTube has launched a trial scheme for paid channels. Initially, content makers will offer subscriptions starting at 99 cents a month. Each of the 53 channels will offer a free 14-day trial and annual discounts. Providers range from established outfits like National Geographic Kids through to marginally more specialist content like Fix My Hog Premium, aimed squarely at the Harley-Davidson biker lot.
So here we are at the bottom of Western Europe's tallest building. It's the Shard, 300 odd metres of glass here in central London. And one thing you absolutely must do these days when you build a tall building is stick an observation gallery right at the top. Come on. The latest addition to London's skyline, the Shard is a giant structure covered by 8 football pitches worth of glass, which towers over its surroundings and provides an excellent vantage point for its visitors. On the way up, you pass through some of the city's most famous roofs and ceilings, including St Paul's Cathedral and the Royal Albert Hall. It's a pretty speedy ascent. Each of the 2 lift journeys lasts less than 30 seconds. So here we are at the observation gallery. It's the highest accessible point of the building, but we're still not at the top. Up there's 30 more floors of machinery and general building paraphernalia. But I have to say, the view is pretty spectacular, isn't it? It seems we've chosen London's one good day of the year to come up here. And if any Londoners are watching, just to clarify, that thing you can see in the distance there is called the Horizon. And this being a very modern building, it has all the latest modern touristy mod cons, including these. I need to introduce you now to the augmented reality telescopes. More of a digital camera with a zoom lens than an actual telescope, but point one at any landmark and it will overlay information in real time. Now, this is actually very similar to the augmented reality apps that have become popular on smartphones, where the software works out what object you're looking at and adds information accordingly. A great experience in clear conditions, but at other times of the year, this is what you're more likely to see. And that's when these telescopes really come into their own. You can switch between different modes, not only to see a clearer view, but also to get a feeling of what the city looks like at different times of the day. For each of these, what you actually get is an enormous photograph. It's about 1.3 gigapixels. They've stitched together lots of smaller photographs to form each of these views, and then you can pan around those in the same way that you can the live image. Visitors spend on average an hour at the gallery perusing all of this information and exploring the weatherproof images, something you might expect having just paid the £25 entrance fee. And that's what Tower Bridge looks like from the ground, just in case you didn't know. And there's plenty more still to come on Click this week. The future according to the world's biggest chip maker, where the outlook is damp but bright. And a chance to yell at your Windows phone as a new personal assistant comes online in Webscape.